Section 1 of Write It Right. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recorded by Laurie Ann Walden. Write It Right by Ambrose Bierce. Section 1. Aims and the Plan. The author's main purpose in this book is to teach precision in writing, and of good writing, which essentially is clear thinking made visible, precision is the point of capital concern. It is attained by choice of the word that accurately and adequately expresses what the writer has in mind, and by exclusion of that which either denotes or connotes something else. As Quintilian puts it, the writer should so write that his reader not only may, but must, understand. Few words have more than one literal and serviceable meaning. However many metaphorical, derivative, related, or even unrelated, meanings lexicographers may think it worth while to gather from all sorts and conditions of men, with which to bloat their absurd and misleading dictionaries. This actual and serviceable meaning, not always determined by derivation, and seldom by popular usage, is the one affirmed, according to his light, by the author of this little manual of solecisms. Narrow etymons of the mere scholar and loose locutions of the ignorant are alike denied a standing. The plan of the book is more illustrative than expository, the aim being to use the terms of etymology and syntax as little as is compatible with clarity, familiar example being more easily apprehended than technical precept. When both are employed, the precept is commonly given after the example has prepared the student to apply it, not only to the matter in mind, but to similar matters not mentioned. Everything in quotation marks is to be understood as disapproved. Not all locutions blacklisted herein are always to be reprobated as universal outlaws. Excepting in the case of capital offenders, expressions ancestrally vulgar or irreclaimably degenerate, absolute proscription is possible as to serious composition only. In other forms the writer must rely on his sense of values and the fitness of things. While it is true that some colloquialisms and, with less of license, even some slang, may be sparingly employed in light literature, for point, piquancy, or any of the purposes of the skilled writer sensible to the necessity and charm of keeping at least one foot on the ground, to others the virtue of restraint may be commended as distinctly superior to the joy of indulgence. Precision is much, but not all. Some words and phrases are disallowed on the ground of taste. As there are neither standards nor arbiters of taste, the book can do little more than reflect that of its author, who is far indeed from professing impeccability. In neither taste nor precision is any man's practice a court of last appeal, for writers all, both great and small, are habitual sinners against the light, and their accuser is cheerfully aware that his own work will supply, as in making this book it has supplied, many awful examples. His later work less abundantly, he hopes, than his earlier. He nevertheless believes that this does not disqualify him for showing, by other instances than his own, how not to write. The infallible teacher is still in the forest primeval, throwing seeds to the white blackbirds. A.B. The Blacklist. A for Anne. A hotel. A heroic man. Before an unaccented aspirate, use an. The contrary usage in this country comes of too strongly stressing our aspirates. Action for act. In wrestling, a blow is a reprehensible action. A blow is not an action, but an act. An action may consist of many acts. Admission for admittance. The price of admission is $1. Admit for confess. To admit is to concede something affirmed. An unaccused offender cannot admit his guilt. Adopt. He adopted a disguise. One may adopt a child, or an opinion, but a disguise is assumed. Advisedly for advertently, intentionally. It was done advisedly should mean that it was done after advice. Afford. It is not well to say, "The fact affords a reasonable presumption; the house afforded ample accommodation." The fact supplies a reasonable presumption; the house offered or gave ample accommodation. Afraid. Do not say, "I am afraid it will rain." Say, "I fear that it will rain." Afterwards for afterward. Aggravate for irritate. He aggravated me by his insolence. To aggravate is to augment the disagreeableness of something already disagreeable, or the badness of something bad. But a person cannot be aggravated, even if disagreeable or bad. Women are singularly prone to misuse of this word. All of. He gave all of his property. The words are contradictory. An entire thing cannot be of itself. Omit the preposition. Alleged. The alleged murderer. One can allege a murder, but not a murderer; a crime, but not a criminal. A man that is merely suspected of crime would not, in any case, be an alleged criminal, for an allegation is a definite and positive statement. In their tiresome addiction to this use of alleged, the newspapers, though having mainly in mind the danger of libel suits, can urge in further justification the lack of any other single word that exactly expresses their meaning. But the fact that a mud puddle supplies the shortest route is not a compelling reason for walking through it. One can go around. Allow for permit. I allow you to go. Precision is better attained by saying permit, for allow has other meanings. Allude to for mention. What is alluded to is not mentioned, but referred to indirectly. Originally the word implied a playful or sportive reference. That meaning is gone out of it. And so, and yet. And so they were married. And yet a woman. Omit the conjunction. And which, and who. These forms are incorrect unless the relative pronoun has been used previously in the sentence. The colt, spirited and strong, and which was unbroken, escaped from the pasture. John Smith, one of our leading merchants, and who fell from a window yesterday, died this morning. Omit the conjunction. Antecedents for personal history. Antecedents are predecessors. Anticipate for expect. I anticipate trouble. To anticipate is to act on an expectation in a way to promote or forestall the event expected. Anxious for eager. I was anxious to go. Anxious should not be followed by an infinitive. Anxiety is contemplative. Eagerness, alert for action. Appreciate for highly value. In the sense of value, it means value justly, not highly. In another and preferable sense, it means to increase in value. Approach. The juror was approached. That is, overtures were made to him with a view to bribing him. As there is no other single word for it, approach is made to serve figuratively, and being graphic, it is not altogether objectionable. Appropriated for took. He appropriated his neighbor's horse to his own use. To appropriate is to set apart, as a sum of money, for a special purpose. Approve of for approve. There is no sense in making approve an intransitive verb. Apt for likely. One is apt to be mistaken. Apt means facile, felicitous, ready, and the like, but even the dictionary makers cannot persuade a person of discriminating taste to accept it as synonymous with likely. Around for about. The debris of battle lay around them. The huckster went around, crying his wares. Around carries the concept of circularity. Article. A good and useful word, but used without meaning by shopkeepers, as a good article of vinegar, for a good vinegar. As for that or if. I do not know as he is living. This error is not very common among those who can write at all, but one sometimes sees it in high place. As, for so as. He is not as good as she. Say, not so good. In affirmative sentences the rule is different. He is as good as she. As for as to. As for me, I am well. Say, as to me. At auction for by auction. The goods were sold at auction. At for by. She was shocked at his conduct. This very common solecism is without excuse. Attain for Accomplish. By diligence we attain our purpose. A purpose is accomplished. Success is attained. Authoress. A needless word, as needless as poetess. Avocation for Vocation. A vocation is literally a calling, that is, a trade or profession. An avocation is something that calls one away from it. If I say that farming is someone's avocation, I mean that he practices it, not regularly, but at odd times. Avoid for Avert. By displaying a light, the skipper avoided a collision. To avoid is to shun. The skipper could have avoided a collision only by getting out of the way. Avoirdupois for Wait. Mere slang. Back of for Behind, at the back of. Back of law is force. Backwards for Backward. Badly for Bad. I feel badly. He looks badly. The former sentence implies defective nerves of sensation, the latter imperfect vision. Use the adjective. Balance for Remainder. The balance of my time is given to recreation. In this sense balance is a commercial word and relates to accounting. Banquet. A good enough word in its place, but its place is the dictionary. Say dinner. Bar for Bend. Bar sinister. There is no such thing in heraldry as a bar sinister. Because for. I knew it was night because it was dark. He will not go because he is ill. Bet for Betted. The verb to bet forms its preterite regularly, as do wet, wed, knit, quit, and others that are commonly misconjugated. It seems that we clip our short words more than we do our long. Body for Trunk. The body lay here, the head there. The body is the entire physical person, as distinguished from the soul or mind, and the head is a part of it. As distinguished from head, trunk may include the limbs, but anatomically it is the torso only. Bogus for Counterfeit or False. The word is slang. Keep it out. Both. This word is frequently misplaced, as a large mob both of men and women. Say of both men and women. Both alike. They are both alike. Say they are alike. One of them could not be alike. Brainy. Pure slang, and singularly disagreeable. Bug for Beetle, or for anything. Do not use it. Business for Right. He has no business to go there. Build for Make. Build a fire, build a canal. Even build a tunnel is not unknown, and probably if the woodchuck is skilled in the American tongue, he speaks of building a hole. But. By many writers this word, in the sense of except, is regarded as a preposition, to be followed by the objective case. All went but him. It is not a preposition, and may take either the nominative or objective case, to agree with the subject or the object of the verb. All went but he. The natives killed all but him. But what. I did not know but what he was an enemy. Omit what. If condemnation of this dreadful locution seem needless, bear the matter in mind in your reading, and you will soon be of a different opinion. By for Of. A man by the name of Brown. Say of the name. Better than either form is, a man named Brown. End of section 1.